All the Willoughby children ever wanted was to have a normal family. But their loving parents had no love left over for them.
Hi, Mommy.
They are creepy.
Barnaby's, will you stop?
Our parents are the worst. Just think about how great our family could be if they were gone.
How do you propose we discard of 2 insidious grown-ups?
Easy.
No!
No, not there. There.
So that's why the Willoughby children
We shall craft a dangerous adventure.
are sending their parents on a trip to die for.
Ghastly!
Ruthless.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Film Optics movie review. And today we will be reviewing The Willoughbys. I am your host, Christian, and joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Devin. How are you doing today, man? Happy Sunday.
It is a happy Sunday. It's actually very nice out in Ohio for the first time in weeks.
Really? That's good. It was pretty nice here in Nashville yesterday. Actually, went out for a nice walk. Decided to get out of the house for a little bit. Had my gloves and my mask on, of course, but it was pretty nice. But like other than that, like, you know, your weekend's been good. Pretty much been playing a lot of Beat Saber, I'm assuming.
Yeah, getting nice. I'm getting kind of sore actually from so much beat
Oh.
sabering. The shoulders getting a little stiff. It's good.
That's a nice little workout though, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's something.
Yeah, it really is. I currently actually picked up a new game for my PlayStation, a game I never thought I would actually play. I picked up Persona 5 Royal. It's like a JRPG, a huge game. Apparently a lot of people like it. And I ran into a Target gift card that I had that I totally forgot that I had. So I was like, I'll pick it up, try playing it. Caught up in Rick and Morty, watched the new episode that came out.
Tonight.
That was pretty good. Oh, there's another one tonight.
Yeah, the new one's tonight.
Okay, because I think, wait, was it 5 episodes or is it 4 episodes?
Yeah, it was 5.
Okay,
What was
okay.
the one you watched? What was the title?
The last one I watched was when oh my gosh, I forgot. It was with Rick's dad. He was like light as a feather, but he was wearing shoes at the same time. But they kind of made up. Yeah, I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, that was last half of the season.
Okay. See, I thought it was 4 and 4. So that was my mistake there. Anyway, but before we begin today's review, you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, the whole 9, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere we can. I've been looking in to see if we can get onto Pandora. I did put in a request a while ago, but haven't heard anything back, so I might have to revisit them there. But
the good old days of Pandora, when we were young and naive.
My gosh, it's honestly not. It's not a bad app. It's just not for us. So it's like, let's just keep that to the elderly, or the older generations, I should say. But as we said before, we will be reviewing the new Netflix original movie, The Willoughbys. Its initial release date was on the 22nd of April. Director is Chris Pearn. Sure. Yeah. And it's based on I believe it's a book by Lois Lowry and narrated by Ricky Gervais. Excuse me. And looks like the reviews so far, I guess for Rotten Tomatoes, tomato meter is at 89, and the audience score, is at a 69 for Rotten Tomatoes. And the IMDb is, I think it's around at 6.5 out of 10. So we'll give our thoughts, our rankings later on. But let me read the synopsis really quick, and then we'll go through some talking points. I don't think we really need to do a non-spoiler and spoiler for this. We're just gonna kind of just go with the flow and talk about what we want to talk about. So
if 10 days.
Right. And if you haven't seen the movie as of yet, turn back now, watch it, come back and listen to the rest of the podcast. But the synopsis reads, man, I cannot talk today. Convinced they'd be better off raising themselves, the Willoughby children hatch a sneaky plan to send their selfish parents on vacation. The siblings then embark on their own high-flying adventure to find the true meaning of family. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Pretty stacked cast, I'd say. We got Will Forte voicing a young child, which is interesting. Maya Rudolph, Alessia Cara, great singer, did some good singing. Terry Crews, classic Terry.
I thought that was Terry Crews.
Yeah, and Martin Short, Jane Krakowski. Just a solid little cast we got here. I did
Yeah.
enjoy that part.
Yeah, I really did. I really did enjoy the voice acting in this movie, and I figured it's something new, obviously something fresh, and it looked interesting enough for us to just go ahead and review it. But I will say, starting off, before we like dive into the story, I wanted to talk about the animation for a little bit because
Yeah.
at first I was kind of turned off by it my first time seeing the trailer, but then it kind of grew on me.
Yeah, I think it worked really well because it was so unique. It's like I don't think I've ever really seen much animation look like this. It's kind of like Tim Burton, but not quite as weird.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of not necessarily with like Spider Verse. They purposely shot it in. Well, I don't know if it was like 25 or like 15 frames per second because I read a article saying that your brain kind of fills in those empty frames so you can kind of get a smooth transition. This was kind of like that, but not really. But it wasn't too claymation-y. So yeah, it is pretty much like a Tim Burton film. But I really, yeah, the animation, especially like with the fire. I mean, it was simple but very effective. And when they definitely have moments in the movie where the animation definitely shines and they kind of push it towards its limit, saying, "Hey, this is this is how far we can go, and this is what we can do with this film." And for the bigger moments, I should say. But I wanted to get your first thoughts about the film overall.
It was like extremely fast paced. Like there was just like always something happening in every scene, which is good and bad. It's good because you have something to look at on every scene. There's always like something happening you can like that draws your attention. But the bad part is they're just kind of throwing stuff at a wall and hoping a lot of it sticks. But I don't think a lot of it stuck. I think some things stuck, but overall they really just kind of threw everything at you at once and hoped it would work.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out if, watching it, obviously finishing the film, what really resonated with me, or like what's the one thing that stuck from this film that I would remember if someone were to say, "Hey, oh, like I just watched The Willoughbys," and I would say, "Oh, like, oh, the animation was amazing," or just something like some type of phrase or something that people can kind of pick up. When it came to like catchphrases, I thought the script was totally fine. It's a very basic story, and I actually liked Ricky Gervais, excuse me, narrating.
Yeah, he
And
was
I
that
mean,
was one of the best parts.
yeah,
Even though he was a
and
cat.
well, he starts off the entire film, and I thought it was like a England couple, moved to
Yeah,
America,
I thought it
which
was gonna be like a British type movie because of the name and Ricky Gervais, but then looked like they were in like New York City or something.
yeah, and it did. I mean, I guess you can say that the two parents, they're so in love with each other that they just cancel everything out, neglect their children, and totally forget about them. Which, I mean, it makes sense. If you're that quote unquote much in love, then you would spring a few children here or there. In this case, they had four, and the two the two twins, was it Barnaby A and Barnaby B, I think it was. They were okay. I thought they were definitely meant to be the the tension relievers, but it didn't work as well. But I did like Jane, the sister, and the nanny, and the baby as well. Ruth was the baby's name, Baby Ruth.
Yeah, the baby. I don't know. The baby part was weird. It was like, where did it come from? They never explained any of that. It
Right.
just showed up, and then they got rid of it, and then it came back. It was weird.
Just like out of nowhere. They're just like, oh, a baby got dropped down at the doorstep. I thought it was a dog at first,
Yeah,
or some kind of like rat. And I was like, since when does a baby make those noises? Like, it was actually kind
yeah,
of weird. But I guess it didn't really matter too much because I mean the baby was an orphan. But at the same time, they had the orphan organization, um, come and after the kids like send their parents away, and the parents are like, oh, like they have some kind of sense where like, well, we just can't leave the children here because at first it seems that they only acknowledge that their firstborn, what was his name? Was it James?
Tim.
Tim. Okay. So first they only acknowledge that Tim, it seems that they only acknowledge that Tim was the only child that they have, but I mean, which kind of makes sense. But then again, I'm like, you don't realize that there's like 3 other people living in the house, but they're like, hey, we can't go on this vacation, quote unquote, because they're trying to orphan themselves and all this huge ruse. But like, I liked it overall. But I thought those parts, with the parents and the children, where it was like, it seemed like the movie needed the parents to acknowledge the kids when when it was like absolutely necessary, but other than that it was like nope. But I mean
Yeah.
that was kind of weird, but I don't know.
One other issue I had was they didn't introduce Terry Crews' character very well. He kind of just showed up, and we were like expected to kind of know like who he was, but we don't because they didn't introduce him. Like they made him seem like he was like this Willy Wonka type guy in that universe, but how would we have known that? I don't know,
Yeah,
it was weird.
I didn't even think about Willy Wonka when I saw the candy factory. I'm like, oh, that's a nice
Yeah,
candy
that's all I
factory.
could think about.
It did never really slip my mind, but what did you think of the babysitter?
I thought the nanny was pretty good. She she actually got an introduction, unlike the candy guy, which was nice.
Right.
We actually know a little bit of backstory about her, but yeah, I liked how she came back and formed a nice little family.
Yeah, I will say mustaches are like a really big thing in this film, and all the great Willoughby men and the women have like amazing mustaches. But the current most recent adult Willoughby, I guess he gets his mustache cut off by his wife. But
Yeah,
like he kept making that really weird like
I
growling.
hated that they
I did
kept
not like
doing
it.
it. Why?
He's like,
Oh my god! What
but
was
like
the point?
but like their throats and like their necks are so long that it was like this really
It made me
weird.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it looked weird because like they would refer to each other as father and mother or mommykins or whatever it was, and I was like, okay, what's going on
They
here?
they definitely went a little too far with that little love story there, especially for a kids movie. It's like
Yeah,
it just got to a weird point.
I mean, I
Especially the
definitely feel
growling.
like right. Um, I definitely feel like this film could have taken a more realistic approach, even if they were to make this into a movie of like a live action movie. They could definitely spin this a different way. I mean,
I was thinking like halfway through that it could have been a good series because it felt like throughout the movie like different episodes were happening and then they would just move on to the next thing.
right, yeah, and actually that's a good point that you brought up there because I never really thought about doing that, but actually thinking back on it, it's kind of like a series of unfortunate events. It's kind of, I mean, not exactly the same premise, but somewhat similar. But they definitely could have made a a type of TV series out of this, but they might have to make a little bit more realistic because I mean I don't think parents would actually fall for the whole travel agency, thing. The way that they executed it in the film, in the Netflix film, it would have to be a little bit different. But I can definitely see this being like live action. Um, but the silliness of it was, the kids trick the parents, and then they all the children are very, they're loving the nanny, but then Tim isn't, and then they all learn to become a nice little family at the end. But
Yeah, and I guess the parents die. They didn't really show it, but they insinuated that they got eaten by a shark.
yeah, because at first they're like, oh, we can't let our parents die after the whole
Yeah,
um
I didn't like that. That was an eye roller for me.
like
Oh,
did you want them to actually just like kill them off,
I
or
just as soon as you saw that they were going to go to try to save them, you just knew what was going to happen. Like, obviously, they're
yeah.
not going to change. It's been how many years?
Yeah, that is true. And of course, they would have it to where, like, I guess that's like a common like cartoon trope, because how many times have we seen like Team Rocket like blasting off again? Like, they easily, probably, obviously should have been killed. And it's like, oh man, we haven't seen Team Rocket in a while. And they're like either stuck on some island or out to sea, like on some like random like branch of like wood or raft or something like that.
Yeah, Team
But
Rocket's actually a pretty good analogy for the parents, just like kind of way cartoonish and over the top.
yeah, like super, super, like too much in love. And I thought there was going to be a little bit of conflict between them, because it did seem like the mom was getting a little bit tired of the husband at the time, but I guess they kind of just glossed over it, because they were like crazy, crazy
Yeah.
in love.
Also, the knitting part was weird. Like, she was obsessed with knitting. It looks like their hair is made out of yarn. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the whole yarn theme for the movie? I don't get that.
I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell. I liked, yeah, like the hair was interesting because, yeah, because the yarn and the hair pretty much knitted, pretty much were the same. But I don't know. I will say I like the song that Jane would sing.
Yeah, I
Um,
liked like, I mean, obviously Alessia Cara has a great voice, and I like the singing. It was just weird that it was only her. Like, to just have her character be the only one who breaks out in a song.
yeah, yeah, because I guess they wanted to show that she was musical, which I get it, but like she was
They
like,
also showed that like the twins were like some kind of inventors in the beginning, but then never showed that again.
right. I
Like,
kind of like
and
that.
then Tim had no qualities. I guess he didn't really do anything special.
He just sat there and complained the entire time
Yeah,
about, "Oh, we're
we're really
Willoughbys."
we're really starting to pick this apart here.
It's all right. But so I guess what was like one of your favorite moments of the film? And then I guess we'll kind of just, I didn't imagine we were gonna rip it apart.
Yeah. Favorite parts. I just liked Ricky Gervais's narrator cat character.
Mhm.
I also liked how he like actually interfered with the story to get things going. I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty unique.
Yeah. I would say I can't. I would agree with you for Ricky Gervais. I would. The other thing I would just say, I guess it would just be the animation.
Yeah.
Overall, I really liked it a lot. I can't think of like an exactly specific scene. I guess it would be between the nanny and their version of Willy Wonka, because it kind of showed that they were interested in each other, and she was saying that oh, like you have this orphan baby here, and she can't live on sweets forever, and they kind of touched on the too much of a good thing. I think it was, I might be getting my movies mixed up because I actually watched a few this weekend, but correct me if I'm wrong when they were talking about like too much of a good thing can also be a bad thing, because the kids kind of go like super crazy and wild when they officially send their parents away. But I can't
Yeah.
remember if that was part of it. I might just be thinking of another movie that I watched this weekend, but oh well.
Yeah. It was definitely
So
very, very wild, fast paced. Like, I think kids are gonna love this movie, which is
oh,
obviously
absolutely.
it's obviously the purpose. so they
Yeah.
did that a good job of that. But
Yeah. It's a good kids movie. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. For sure. I mean, as long as some audience is actually enjoying it, I'm all hands on deck. Absolutely. But you want to get into the scores here?
yeah,
So what would you give the Willoughbys out of 100?
I think I'm going with a 60.
Okay. Um I thought about this for a while. I was gonna do 65. Just because I really did like the concept. I love the animation. The soundtrack was fine, but what really got me, like I said before, was the animation, those like beautiful the landscape scenes that they did, and just how the world felt very real. They didn't feel fake. It felt like it was it in its own little bubble. But I would give it a 65 out of 100 for sure. So, yeah, I mean, not really much else to say there. But if you haven't watched this film yet, for anyone out there who is listening, definitely give it a watch. It is something to pass the time, and honestly, it's not a bad film. There are definitely worse out there, but I think this is for Netflix. I feel like this is more of a solid middle of the road. It's not like amazing, but it's not terrible either. So yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. But was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we close up here, Devin?
No, will not be anything to add.
All right, everyone. So that pretty much concludes our review of The Willoughbys that is now streaming on Netflix. And again, you can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much any major podcast platform you can think of, minus Sirius XM. And I was going to say Persona, which was not correct. Pandora, there we go. So you can listen to us anywhere on there. And I actually forgot to mention this in our previous podcast or previous news episode. We are doing a giveaway for the Avengers Endgame. I came across a code that was given to me, and they to use as a giveaway. So this person did want to remain anonymous. So I'll just say thank you to that person. I believe we are going to be choosing the winner this coming up Wednesday. So I'll put the giveaway link to enter in the description below, and as well this will be up on YouTube. And I'm not sure what we're reviewing next. When does that oh my gosh, it's from the creators of Rick and Morty. It's coming out on Hulu. I think it comes out
It's
in
May 5th.
May 5th. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Cool. 2 days from now. So maybe that'll be our next review. I forgot the name of it.
Solar Opposites.
Solar Opposites. Hopefully, depending on how many episodes of those are out, we will be doing a review of that. But also want to let everyone know that we will be doing a Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7 spoiler cast, or just a full-on spoiler review of that season. I will be joined by Ren Geekness on YouTube, and Pat from the Cinemania World team as well. So keep a lookout for that. I think we're gonna record for that on Saturday, my birthday. So it gives me something to do. TBD on if Devin will be joining us, but I'm hoping he will.
We also got the Mandalorian documentary if we wanted to dive into that.
That's right. Oh, there's so many things coming out in May. Yeah, the Mandalorian documentary comes out May 4th as well. And if you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker as well, that also comes out on Star Wars Day. So yeah, I almost forgot. That's a good call, man. I almost forgot about that. So we will just follow us on Twitter at Film Optics. Optics is spelled OPTIX. For more news updates on what we will be reviewing next, you can also follow us on Instagram. And that pretty much does it. And we will see you in the next one.
Peace.